Do I know you? I do. I know you. I see you. Wow. I guess it's come to a great time for us to make some strides. We're kind of coming full circle. There's a sign out front that says we've been doing this for over 50 years. And, you know, they give people a gold watch and they kick you out after that, usually. There's a little lesson in that, by the way. We've come full circle. We're in a year of coming full circle. I mentioned this on the boards last time, yesterday. You know, the 2016 is a 9, for those of you into that stuff. And that means that symbolically it's the circle. Right? It's not a star. It can be drawn as a star, but it's a circle. And it means that all things are coming to pass. All things that I've pulled together. It's another version of going through the 7-year cycles. Right? It helps society as a whole, you could say. Where when the more personal, it helps us go through our cycles in the 7 years. Right? Society needs a little bit more. Right? So, full circle. The time is restirring for us and our leadership. We've had a lot of things happen in the last few years. I know all of you personally have had some transitions happen in your life, whether it's personal or people around you. And this is because you're sensitive and you're like the canary. You will experience things well before the masses do. That is the way it is. The price you pay for being ahead of the game. What I'm saying is that the opportunity is upon us again. So the spirit that the original Inner Peace Movement nonprofit was formed in and the expansion that happened in it is available to us again. Meaning that all the master teams that had moved in to help that expansion and push are available to us, right? Where in the last, say, 20 years, the energy has been distributed so that many other movements could do their part. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we have more spiritual movements, more personal development organizations, more of those things than we have in a really, really, really long time. And from a historic perspective, those things happen, those things come to pass when there's going to be a change. Right? When people, as a mass, as a group, are ready to move up. Okay? So it's all about transition and transformation. Your part is you're the master of transition. Transformation part you don't even question anymore. You don't work, there's no death. Why do we even talk about it sometimes, right? Maybe to make sure we eke out the last little 2%. But it's all about the transition, right? When I go to the airport and I'm going from one place to another, if anyone has ever traveled with me, I get extremely militant. You know, I'm a pretty relaxed guy, but I can get pretty militant when it comes to going from point A to point B when there's other people involved and other controls involved. Right? If I don't have my energy directed, I am a part of whatever's going on out there. Right? I'm at the mercy of the strongest current around me. It's another way to say it. And so all those little things that we do about magnetizing your future, cleansing, that stuff works. It's real. So there's an opportunity, there's an opening. And finding the leaders of leaders is what we're up for again. Right? So much so that I've been speaking, I think I came in when Dorinda was sharing, so much so that we've been having some pretty powerful conversations of how we can re-empower IPMI perhaps even better and clearer than it was even before, so that there's no confusion. You know, I remember having discussions and being amongst discussions like, well, what's the difference between IPM and the program and the nonprofit, and you know, and for those of you who are around, you know, the founder would always just go, IPM is nothing, it's just groups of people, that's it. Right. Oh, okay. Meaning that it was us. It was people of like mind coming together, and it means something. We've gotten used to it, but if you don't have it, and if you have turmoil in your environment, and then you come to this environment, you know the difference. You know the difference. But we're up for bringing it all back. We're up for bringing that leaders of leader energy back. It's available. It's not a requirement. There's no guilt trip in it. It's just available should we choose to claim it. Right? And IPMI, I think, is one of those organizations, or the bedrock of it is one of those ones that we're either going to be alive or dead. There really is not a whole lot of play, because it's about the depth and the clarity and the spearheading. I'll tell you a story. Love stories. I've been thinking a lot about this. I saw this YouTube thing, I don't know about you, but there's this thing that's the thought leader, or the leader thought, or something. Any of you seen this? It's on YouTube.
Oh, the TED Talks?
No. Anyway, it's this guy comes out and he basically lays out all the major points that people who do presentations do. And he does it like, really breaks it down. And part of me had to kind of get detached, because, it was kind of like, well, he's like, I'm up here and I've got glasses on, so you trust me. You think I know what I'm talking about. And now I've got a computer up here and I must really know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to click this button, and then I'm going to put some words on it. Then I really have a big, and he kind of goes through this thing, and then he walks around and he goes, and now I'm going to tell a funny story about something that you know nothing about. And you're all going to laugh because I'm laughing. And he just, the power of leadership and leading, how that affects people. Okay? But my story is this. I pay attention, partly because of my position, but just the kind of guy I am. I pay attention to signs and symbols. And a couple of years ago, a member of this board, we were chatting, and I came back from a trip, and we were grouping about some key leaders who we all know, been around for a long time, and talked about how they stopped doing program because they felt like a hypocrite. Because they were talking about sharing with people the cleansing and setting their energy, building on abundance, magnetizing, all that stuff, but they weren't fulfilling on it. They weren't able to do it as clear as they were saying it. And so they decided that, well, until I get my act together, I'm not going to do it. A hypocrite. And this person, we were sitting over there, he says, there are a lot of great excuses to stop sharing. How do you argue with that? Right? Oh. The other story, I have a point here to all this. The other one is I was sharing with another leader, member of this board, and was talking about how I was working with different people and all that, and on the board. And he says to me, he says, "You know, Tiger, I'm suspicious about you." I said, "Why? What are you concerned about?" He says, "You sure do spend a whole lot of time with people, but I don't see you spending a whole lot of time with the people that are your contracts, that the people you haven't met yet." And I went, "Oh." And my final story is someone who, well, Thelma, most of you remember, used to be a part of the board. A little while ago, I came in to where she was, and I came with my bags. I put them down. Walked over, and someone offered me a glass of water, so I took the glass of water, and then I saw Thelma. "Hey, Thelma, how's it going?" And she asked me how I was doing. I said, "I'm doing okay." And I said, "How are you doing?" She said, "I'm doing okay." And she looks at me, and she goes, "Have a seat." I said, "Oh, thank you." So I had a seat. Are we counting the seconds that are transpiring here so far, right? So I sit down, and I'm having my water, and she's kind of sitting, staring at me, as good visionaries do. And she goes, "How's your third angel?" I go, "What? Have you been working with your third angel?" "I suppose I work with them all." Nice flippant remark that you say to get off my ass, She says, "You're not working with your third angel." She says, "You're having trouble with acceptance, aren't you?" "I'm not 5 minutes in the door, lady." So I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Third angel was there when you picked up that block. He can help you with that." And now my heart's racing. And I'm having to go. She goes, "Are you afraid to ask? Are you afraid to ask?" So now I'm kind of, and then she goes, "Have a good day." There's a few other ones, but I could stand up here and go through them, but I want to keep the time rolling. The moral of the story is that within seconds, the leadership poured through those people. Within seconds, they poured through them, and not only did it strike me, but it moved me. It wasn't chit-chat. They were sharing with me. It was moving. It was emotional because I was blocked up in those areas. But it was moving. And to me, that's what it is to be a part of this team. It means that I put my hand up not just as a way of life, It's because it's overflowing from me. I have to share it. If I don't share it, I'm going to get sick. I have to share it. Those people that were on this body, they carried that energy. And the moment they signed their name to be a part, they had extra backing. It's, of course, no question they're sensitive. Of course, no question they have their own leadership and training. But I know the difference when I'm being moved by an individual who's working with me and when I'm being moved by an individual with a whole team of backing behind them. I know what it is because my thrust is such to discern the difference when there's one and when there's many. And that is what we've come back to. We've come back to this place where if you really want to share because you need to, you want to, this is the place. And there are people who you are going to, they're going to create a vacuum for you. They need it. And not only do they need to hear it, but they need this. They need to have what you have. And there's a difference between people who are shoppers and those who are really searchers. We accept them all. But the sincerity of the searcher is pretty profound. And if you're halfway tuned in, to what you've come to do, then sharing what you have and what you've pulled together is a need. Because I know for myself, when I don't, I experience pressure. I'm not communicating what I need, when I need to the right people. So that's what you have as an opportunity. The ticky-tacky is that the college is going to re-clarify its boundaries. And part of that re-clarification is we're pulling back a lot of things that we were doing because it's not our business. It's the leader's business. And that will leave a little bit of a vacuum in certain areas. A vacuum that was traditionally filled by IPMI, in this case. Right? The mentoring, the backing of leadership, the backing of new leaders and support. That's that whole thing of, for those of you who remember, the founder used to say, plug them into the system. Remember that? Plug them in. A key component of that was the services we had to offer through us, through this body, through this group. Okay? It's important to me that there's continuity, because the more the college defines itself, the more empowered the individual leader will become. It will become more and more like when Francisco and Maria were first touring. It's going to become more and more like that, with the exception that we have a lot of experience now, and we do have a bit of a system to support those groups and people who may or may not be in a group. We have that support system now. We have standards and training. But the fact that they were sharing their charisma, they were sharing through their workshops and their consultations, that's what really built it. And then they moved on. People who wanted to get in a group got in a group, and they kept going. Right? That's how they were able to do it. They didn't survive just on groups. They would do it because they were part of the whole thing. So that's where we're heading. And the distinction for me now is that as we re-empower this body, this organization, with roles, right, or abilities, it's going to become voluntary. Where before you were plugged into the system and the rails and that's the way it was, now it's going to become more voluntary. Meaning that, in my opinion, I think you're crazy not to do it. But if you want to go do your own thing, go for it. God bless you. Do great works. But if you want to be a part of a team that's going to achieve greater things because we want to do something larger, this is the place. So one of the things that I've been getting feedback, I'm going to bring up Dorinda right now because she's been putting a lot of energy into it, but is a lot of the things that we remember the founder doing was actually underneath this umbrella. Backing people on their tours, checking key areas out for cities and locations. All that stuff is really here. The pureness of it is here. I have a map in the office. I would love for a group of you to be assigned and check out the energy. For those of you who are going to be staying on, which I recommend everybody stay on for the week. Just get yourself towed back into the new spiritual horizons. It's fun. Got nothing to lose. But have a group of people start checking out on that map where we need to go. Where the man in the universe and the messages that we have of spiritual freedom, the mission of this organization, where do they need to go in 2016, 2017, 18, and 19? Next 3 years. I would love to have that, have different colored stars. We would start to feel different. And then we can offer it up. Who would like to go here? What does your 7001 say? Right. Giving opportunity was Dr. Coll's thrust. I can't tell you how much this organization is about that. We give opportunity on the rails. We give opportunity in the regional or state workshops. It's all about giving opportunity. Practice. We do stuff here that we take for granted. It's all really the feeling here at this organization. All of you know we go in there, we cleanse and get a keyword for cleanup. And we pick a crew chief, right? Well, there's a lot of personal growth in it. There's nothing in the college for that. That's us practicing, giving opportunity. That's us as an organization, IPMI. That's where it comes from. I mean, sure, we go get some training, but then we got to go do it. So, I don't want to make it sound somber. And I mean, I think what we have is pretty amazing and pretty exciting and pretty full. And the need is great, but the need that you have and what I've spoken to each individual of you one time or another, got to do something with that wisdom. Got to do something with that wisdom. If we tally up all the wisdom we have, of the amount of time you've been searching and doing and sharing with people, let's tally it up, math. Hundreds and hundreds of years. That's just this lifetime. That's this lifetime in this room. That doesn't count all the people that want to re-up their board meeting when they start hearing what we're going to do. We're putting stars on maps. We're giving opportunity again. We're going to back you fully. We have a whole team to back you in your media. How about that? Having a whole team to call up, help you. Imagine that. So, backing the leadership, backing the emerging leadership. That means bringing back some of our roles, the bad old days. It also means finding new and exciting ways to communicate with people. Making sure that we're clear with our leadership and the people doing the program, because as I came in, that was the part I brought up to Dorinda, making sure that we're crystal clear where our business begins and ends and our nonprofit begins and ends. So we don't have to play any game. It's right up front. Okay? Dorinda's really good at that. And then the expansion that Richard helped spearhead, and Esther too, I'm making note of. I know everybody helped, but these are the people I talked to a lot. With that guild, or the association, whatever, of spiritual educators, this is an important thing to move toward. When doctors go out of Harvard Medical Law School, they go and they get hooked up with a local group. And they put a plaque on the wall that I'm a member of the local medical association and all that. Right? Now, that's not for nothing. There's dues, and they have to adhere to standards. And if they don't, that gets pulled. And that is the feeling and the spirit of the spiritual watchdog. It's not about being harsh or mean. It's about setting a standard. So, making sure that we're crystal clear with our ticky-tacky, the legal parts, and Dorinda's already got it figured out, and start to find all the ways that we can start empowering our existing leadership. And for me, we're up for aggressive expansion over the next 3 years. I mean, you can check it with your guidance. But for me, the way things are, the need is that great. Aggressive expansion in the next 3 years. So supporting the leadership to go out and share the key messages. Right? And supporting the emerging leader and the searcher. Plugging them in. Giving them opportunity in such a way that's supportive of the leadership. Right? If we're doing it right, one is building the other. Right? I want to plug people in because I can trust you. You're going to build them so that when their little fish grow up to be the big fish, we're ready to go do big things. Huh? Little fish, well, we got lots of them. Wouldn't it be great to have an organization that helps support that? So I started that story about those people who moved me. And I'm going to end with basically saying the depth that you have, it's time to let it roll. It's time to let it go, let it free. Right? I need to hear you, not just listen to you. I need to see you, not just look at you.